This is my new boat. It sails but isn't a sailboat. Motors on plane but isn't a powerboat. Has a bathroom and kitchen but isn't a cabin cruiser. Can sleep 7 but isn't a houseboat. Can float in only 9 inches of water but isn't a flats boat. And best of all, can be used on any body of water but doesn't need a travel lift. This is a 2001 MacGregor 26X, the boat that can do everything. This boat is just the beginning of my next major life adventure that will take me all across North America, and I want to take you along for the ride. First, I'm going to show you why I bought this boat over any other on the market. Second, I'm going to give you a quick and dirty tour from the bow to the stern, from bumper to bumper. And finally, what's next? The plans that I've got cooking. All right, let's dive on in. 7 months ago, I sold the sailboat I had lived on for 7 years and sailed 10,000 nautical miles. I got $35,000 for it, and that $35K became the budget for my next adventure rig. Now, I knew I didn't just want another large ocean-going monohull or spend the next 2 years fixing up a hurricane-damaged catamaran, because, well, I made a whole video dedicated to exactly why, link in the description below. But basically, I wanted to adventure everywhere, not just on the ocean, which is mainly what a traditional sailboat allows. The MacGregor 26X and M model stood out immediately for many reasons, which I also made an entire video about, link in the description below. Then, with the advice and guidance of my good friend and 19-year veteran MacGregor sailor Ilya, I made the decision to buy the 26X model. Which, the story on that 4-day, 3-night adventure just to buy the boat will be an entertaining video all on its own, coming soon. But now I've owned the boat for a couple months, have spent several nights sleeping in it, both on the trailer, in the water, and my favorite, with the nose on the beach. And I've got to say, I love this boat. MacGregor 26s get a lot of hate, particularly from sailors, but there is so much to appreciate about this boat. I get that this boat isn't for everybody, but this is the boat for me and what I want to do next. Every adventure.
All right, now let's take a look at this full rig. Now normally I start from the bow to the stern, but in this case I gotta start from the bumper to the back. So going all the way up to here, towing this whole rig with a 5,000 pound tow capacity is a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland Edition. It's got nice leather seats inside, very comfortable, roof racks. There's definitely a lot that I could be doing with it, but at the moment, I'm just gonna keep it stock and probably upgrade this later to something with a little bit more tow capacity, because this total rig behind it is about 4,000 pounds. It definitely gets the job done, but it's one of those things where you wanna have a little more tow capacity to be safe. Moving on back, the MacGregor is not on a stock trailer anymore. No, I bought a brand new Venture Trailer VTB 6425, meaning it can hold a boat up to 6,425 pounds. I'm definitely happy with the trailer, but I'm very unhappy with the way the company set up the bunks on this thing. It was really dangerous at first, and I've had to make some adjustments that are very custom, as you can see, by an old Columbia jacket around a 2x4 here, and there's still a lot more work to be done. The trailer itself is predominantly aluminum for all the parts that are going to be going into the water, but then things like the neck right here are made out of galvanized steel, so you get a little bit more strength out of it. We've got a 7-pin connector here, surge brakes, and yes, it tows totally fine behind a Jeep Grand Cherokee. One of the most important considerations when getting this trailer was getting a dual axle. That's going to distribute the weight a little bit better, and if something does go wrong, I have another set of tires to go on. As you can see by the boat on the trailer, it does not need a whole lot of water to be floating. As well, up on top, you can see the mast. A 28-foot mast means you're going to have a total air draft of 33 feet. I'll be honest, the mast took a lot of getting used to, both raising and lowering it and getting everything rigged. At first, I wanted to completely throw the thing off and just use the boat as a motorboat. But now that I've gotten used to it, it's really nice. This boat is all being powered by a 50 horsepower Honda BF50A. 4-stroke engine that absolutely sips gasoline. This thing can propel the boat to over 18 miles per hour. Which, if you're used to a boat that only goes 6, maybe 7 knots if you're lucky, this thing feels like you're flying. But there's more advantages than just going fast. Because it's an outboard, you can easily pop it from back here and work on it. You see how easy this is to work on, to get access to, and to do things to? And I've got a whole shop behind me if I want to, or I could park this into a Home Depot parking lot to go in and get parts. This is what I think makes this boat so great. Never going to a boatyard ever again, never paying crazy marina prices just to be able to work on your own boat. Pull it out of the water, bring it wherever you want to work, or to whoever you want to have work on it, and get it done. Not only that, there is infinitely more outboard motors out there than inboards. So they are so much easier to work on, there's more tutorials on them. I'm just finding it all around better and easier. I recently had to learn a difficult lesson when in reverse I found a rock. It broke the propeller, and on a real sailboat this would have been a huge problem. But on this thing, it took me all of 10 minutes and $70 to replace it. Done. Also back here is a swim ladder and then the drop-down rudders. These are important in case you want to do any steerage while under sail. You just pick the motor up and use these. As well, you open this up here and you fill the water-filled ballast. The water-filled ballast goes in and throughout the boat. It's not in one central spot, it's actually located throughout the bottom of the boat. This is what gives the boat its righting ability when it's sailing. Rather than having a lead or steel keel underneath, it has that water that goes there. As well, there's a drop-down centerboard inside the boat that drops down like so, which is nice because if you ever hit something, it'll pop right back up and you don't have to worry about breaking it. When that's down, you have a bit more than a 5-foot draft, and like I said, when it's up and when the water-filled ballast is empty, you have a 9-inch draft. If I had to guess, with the water-filled ballast full, you're probably looking at maybe 10, maybe 11 inches deep. All right, let's head up into the boat. It's pretty easy to get up into here, and once you are here, you got a really nice, comfortable cockpit. When you're under sail, you've got the bimini up overhead and none of this stuff in your way. With the captain's chair down, I've got a nice backing behind me, easy controls here with the steering wheel, and that's pretty much it. It's actually a pretty simple boat. It just has a lot of capabilities. It's plenty spacious, comfortable cushions here, and all your sailing controls can come right back to here or just up in front of me. The mast that lays right here, you easily raise using this mast raising device right here. It works really well. Go up to the front, crank that thing up on in, and before you know it, you've got your mast up and you're ready to go sailing. As well, you've actually got a decent amount of space up here on the foredeck if you want to come lounge. And also, you've got a forward hatch here which you can climb in and out of, sit up from in the bed and look out, or catch a nice breeze coming through. You got the anchor locker right there, and you do not need a big anchor to hold this thing down, which is great. With this hatch open, at 6 foot tall, I can stand up easily. With it closed, I just have an inch maybe above my head. For the rest of the boat, I do have to duck my head. It's a compromise you just have to make. Starting from the bow, we've got the V-berth. Like I said, you can sit right up here and look out the front, which I love doing. Also, to make the bed a lot bigger, you can take this out, and now you have basically a king-size bed on one side. As well, underneath everything is a ton of storage. There is so much space that you can fill up with stuff on here. However, you do got to remember, this is a lightweight boat. The more you fill it up, the slower it's going to go. Next, we've got the full dinette. You can easily fit 4 people here, and probably 3 people right across from it. Yes, 7 people on this boat is a ton, but my friend Ilya does it regularly each summer with his whole family. Directly across from the dinette then is our little kitchen area here. This is a molded in fixture here that can be adapted and adjusted and upgraded a lot of ways, which I absolutely intend on doing. I do have down below a little 2-burner stove that I can bring up. I've got water out of here, out of the sink if I want it. And where I'm sitting right now is a great place to cook from. If you have somebody who needs to be doing some prep cooking, they can help you right here as well from across the table. For 1 to 4 people, this boat is excellent. And then underneath this seat is made to automatically be an ice cooler. However, most people usually put their fridge down below here. For me, I went with the 26X over the 26M for 3 reasons. 1, the V-berth could be made much bigger than it ever could be on the M. 2, you have a closed up dedicated bathroom. And 3, the dagger board as opposed to a centerboard, so you can afford to hit something and not ruin it. In here's the bathroom. It's not much, but it's all the space that you might need. We even got a little shower head there that comes out if you want to take a full shower. You do have a toilet in here, which I plan on upgrading again. And like I said, it gets the job done. You've even got a little mirror right here. And then in the back here, you have the very large bed, which I believe is actually a king-size bed back in there, believe it or not. If you don't pull the ladder up, you can easily squeeze back this way. Obviously, I've got a few things back here right now from my previous trip. This is kind of how I intend on having this, just a little bit more organized. This is going to be my stuff place, wherever I want to put adventure gear or supplies that I might need. If you are sleeping people back here, it easily sleeps 3 adults, which is incredible. Like I said, you can fit straight through this way without doing anything, or if you pick up this ladder piece, you can crawl back to this side here. You definitely have to be okay with claustrophobic spaces back there, but it works. It gets you out on the water and it's fun. This boat is obviously full of compromises. That's the whole point. Every boat is a compromise no matter what. This one decided to do everything and then have the compromises fall where they may. All right, now that you've seen the boat and have a little bit of an idea of it, you can tell there's still a lot of work to be done. The boat works as intended, but I want to live on this boat and explore on this boat for days and weeks, maybe even months on end. So with that in mind, I got a few upgrades I'm going to show you guys I'm going to be working on. The first upgrade that's going to be the most important is a permanent bimini structure. This is going to hold solar for me, it's going to hold the mast up, and it's going to also help to make all this space inside the cockpit much more livable. And on that bimini, you want to get a minimum of 500 watts of solar. And then inside, a lithium battery bank of 3 to 500 amp hours at 12 volts. New cushions and a new bed will help out a ton for comfortability. Renaming the boat Adventureborne 2. Of course, I've got to figure out a swim platform back here. Changing the bunks from vertical to horizontal bunks. Guidepost to make it easier to retrieve the boat at the boat launch. Storage box and steps up to the bow.
A composting toilet.
A bigger tow vehicle with more tow capacity, more storage space, and more off-road capability. But upgrades on this boat will be much different than what and how I did to my last boat. Remember, Adventureborne 1 was 12 feet longer and 12 times heavier. That means, number one, I don't have as much space or weight that I can just dump into this boat, so I need to be much more conscious of everything that I do here. Though on the plus side, I have a tow vehicle that I can store some things in. As well, I'll be closer to stores and shops, so I don't need to hold as much in my rig. I can do my refits here at my shop, or in the winter at any store, parking lot, wherever I may be. I will never have to go back to a boatyard ever again, hopefully. All right, now that you've had a chance to take a look at the boat and see the upgrades I'm going to be doing, let's talk about some of the travel plans that I've got in the works.
For the past month now, I've been thoroughly enjoying this boat in the Adirondack area of upstate New York. There's plenty of lakes and rivers that I can go explore, especially Lake Champlain going all the way north to Canada, or the Hudson River all the way south to New York City if I wanted. As well, if I'm feeling a bigger challenge, there's Lake Ontario just out to the west. But as soon as these summer temperatures drop in September, I will not be here. I'll be heading up to Maine and then driving down the entire East Coast, taking stops here and there in states along the way until I finally reach Florida. Then I plan to cross the Gulf Stream to go back to the Bahamas, where I intend on being in the Ragged Islands for February for their famous Valentine's Day party. Hopefully I don't get too sidetracked in the Bahamas and I do come back to the US and cross the country all the way up to Washington, where one way or another I'll make my way back to Southeast Alaska. There is endless adventures to be held there and I can't wait to return. And again, in keeping with the seasons, as the summer comes to an end, I don't intend to be in there in the cold, so I'm going to head back down the Pacific coast all the way down to Baja for the winter. And who knows how all these plans could work out or what things will happen, good or bad, along the way. That's what adventure is all about. And eventually, my dream is to put this little boat into a Connex container box and ship it across the ocean. Maybe Australia, New Zealand, or someplace totally new to me. There's so much of the world I can't wait to explore. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to let me know in the comments below where you think I should take this boat next, what vehicle you think I should upgrade to tow this rig, or what evergreen video topics you'd like me to cover on this channel, Adventureman Dan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next adventure.
Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I hope you feel inspired to begin adventures of your own. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For an exclusive, in-depth look at this adventure lifestyle and to further support my channel, become a member of my Patreon crew. Link in the description. I'll see you on the next adventure.